So welcome to the first session of the 2022 A Day in the Life of a Family Physician series. We hope you find today's session on fellowships informative and helpful. My name is Kathy Pabst and I'm your Executive Director. And I'd like to introduce our MAFP team, Bill Plank, Assistant Executive Director. And Brittany isn't able to join us today, but Brittany handles our communications and our member engagement. Bill handles the CME and the subject matter expert content type stuff for the magazine. So we're here to help you to become family physicians. So feel free to reach out to us if we can be of any assistance. I would like to now introduce you to our speaker today, Dr. Brea Lombardo. She is a third-year family medicine resident at the University of Missouri-Columbia. Dr. Lombardo is a Missouri native from Springfield and received her medical degree from MU. So she has recently been where you are in your matriculation to becoming a family physician. Dr. Lombardo will complete residency this year and is planning to stay at University of Missouri-Columbia as an academic fellow and part-time clinical instructor and as a part-time PhD student within the family medicine department in the clinical and translation sciences program. So, wow, she will be your go-to person if you have questions about the many options available to family medicine medical students and residents. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Brea Lombardo.
Thanks so much, Kathy. I'm so glad to see you all. It's been such an interesting journey through all of this. When I was in M1 and M2, I didn't know I wanted to do family medicine. Family medicine was far away from what I was thinking about. I thought I'd specialize. I knew I wanted to do research, but I just was so pleasantly surprised to love all of my rotations through my clinical years and then fall in love with family medicine and think like, oh, well, I guess now I can put research behind me. I'm going to be a family doctor. And then it's come really full circle through residency to see that no, family medicine is my my passion that I didn't know I had until I was finishing up medical school. But then, that research side of me, the side of me that wants to be really curious and, solve problems and come up with questions is still there. And I'm just doing it as a family doctor, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, it's really, even just to hear you say all those steps in that process, I'm like, wow, how did that even happen? Because I started at Mizzou as an MD PhD student and was going to do neuroscience research. And I thought that was just what I was going to do. And I just was like, really just, I don't know, didn't connect with it well. I felt like I wasn't enjoying my work day in and day out doing the research side of things. And I thought, well, I needed a change. So I went back to my clinical rotations and lo and behold, primary care, that's really what I need to be doing. Like, this is really what makes me come alive, is doing primary care for people. And then it's like, it's been quite a journey. So I'm really excited and it's strange to be in my last year of residency because it feels like just yesterday I was a medical student and then, an intern, and then now it's the end of residency. So it's a weird process, but there are so many opportunities within family medicine that has been really, really exciting for me to kind of learn and explore kind of going forward. There are just so many things that you can do. And we really, if you can dream it up, you can do it. I mean, there's so many opportunities to be, from the full scope, outpatient, inpatient OB doc that sees everybody to, academic careers, research, teaching, and then everywhere in between. And then kind of to specialize, so to speak, in a lot of different areas. I think I, as a medical student, did not at all realize how many fellowship opportunities were available for family medicine graduates after residency. There's a lot. And so I actually went ahead and put a couple of slides together to show, I hope I can share my screen and see. I see a button. I'm going to try. I don't know. Kathy, do you think you can let me share them?
I just changed that, so you should be set to go now.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead. Can you all see the slide? Okay, can you see it now? Does it look okay? Good. The age of Zoom, I've kind of learned how to do this. I don't know how that happened, but this is, yeah. So just thinking about residency. So, I mean, as you're thinking about career opportunities as a family doctor, as a family physician, clinically, research wise, practice setting, like there are so many opportunities, and fellowships can really help you tailor your training and adds a lot of value to your career, I think. So what is a fellowship in general? It's just a formal program of study that you do after residency or after your graduate medical education. So you've done your professional degree, you've done your graduate medical education, and then you do another program of study after that. Can be done anytime in your career. Definitely people have done them mid-career, late career, certainly right after residency, like I'm doing myself. You can be full-time or part-time. They can be distance or in person. So some of the fellowship opportunities, you can have your job and then do some fellowship opportunities part-time online. So there's a lot of opportunities there. Some of the programs are accredited through the ACGME, who license and accredits residency programs. It doesn't make it better or worse if it's accredited or not. It's just, it can be or it cannot be. It really depends on if it meets your needs, really is how you assess that. And then it may be a certificate or not. And again, it depends on your needs and the reason why you're doing it. If you need a certificate or not. And so at face value, some people might think like, oh, well, an accredited certificate offering program is going to be better. Not necessarily. Depends on what you want to get out of it. I should have said, if you guys want to interrupt and ask any questions or anything, feel free to unmute and talk at me. So there are a lot of areas. This is not even all of them offered to family physicians. So I could read through these, but just taking a look at this list, it's a very extensive list, and this is not everything. So the one that the fellowship program that I'm doing is an academic medicine fellowship, which is like a faculty development fellowship. So those are those first two there. Put them first because it's the one that I'm doing. But so those are opportunities to learn more about being an instructor of medical students and residents. You can develop a research focus. You can get publications. You can do a master's or a PhD program, depending on kind of what the area of focus might be. And then there's all these other areas as well. So from global health and pain and addiction, obstetrics is a really popular fellowship. Sports medicine is a really popular sports medicine is also a popular fellowship. Just lots of things, lots of opportunities to subspecialize and kind of continue to grow your skills. Certificates might be offered depending on the specialty and depending on what you're going into. So through the American Board of Family Medicine, so the ABFM, you can get a certificate of added qualification or a CAQ in these couple of areas: adolescent medicine, geriatrics, hospice and palliative care, pain medicine, sports medicine, and then hospital medicine, as well as, I think I missed one, sleep. So those are the ones there that you can get a certificate added on to your board certification through the ABFM. There are lots of other certificates, though, that aren't necessarily the CAQ offered by ABFM. So for example, you may be board certified as a family physician, and then you do training in emergency medicine and can get a certificate through the emergency medical services subspecialty through the American Board of Emergency Medicine. So you can have your board licensure through family medicine, your certificate through the Board of Emergency Medicine. And that's just an example. There's a lot of other opportunities too. If you'd like to have a certificate added to your qualifications. And really, like I said, it's neither right nor wrong to get the certificate. And you may be thinking like, well, why do I do that? Well, there are just so many ways that you can go with your career. You might find that you're a more competitive job applicant, especially for residency programs or universities. If you have a certificate, you can get dual appointments and different, for example, 2 different specialties at a hospital by having a certificate. For example, we have some family doctors at Mizzou that have their certificate of added qualification in sports medicine, and they're appointed at both family medicine department and orthopedic department. And so that just gives them the opportunity to really advance their career and grow their expertise in that. It gives you flexibility, I think. For example, in the case of the faculty development and master's programs and academic fellowship, it gives you some leverage, I think is the one way to put it. When you have added qualifications and added experience, then you can have more of an ability to request flex time in your contract, so that say you don't do 90% of a full-time job as clinical medicine, maybe you only want to do 60% and 40% academics and teaching and research. With your added qualifications and extra training, that kind of helps you be able to negotiate for that in your contract someday. So it can be helpful too. Same thing with advanced degrees. When you have added qualifications, you have extra set of skills, it just gives you more flexibility. And then, of course, there are areas of medicine where you may just say, I want to do a fellowship because I want to have better skills, like obstetrics or pain management, addiction medicine. It can be just simply from, I want to learn more about this than I would typically learn in a residency program and be able to better serve, population. There are directories of fellowship programs that you can look at the AAFP website and see by state. You can look at all the programs in Missouri, although this is not a comprehensive list. You can also look at most institutions, look at their website. So University of Missouri, Kansas City, University of Missouri, Columbia, and see all the fellowship opportunities, because there will be opportunities for fellowships that aren't necessarily offering a certificate and aren't necessarily ACGME accredited, but they could still be great programs and be great for your career. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's some great websites here through the ABFM and the AFP where it talks about career opportunities, and there are sections there on fellowship opportunities. So it can be it can be a great experience. You may think, wow, I'm already thinking about a couple of years of residency and then adding something on after that. It's really not a big deal. Really, the time passes and you're doing what you love to do and you're advancing and you're it's really all right. I think it's when it feels right for your career, then the time is fine. The time's going to pass anyway, is the way I look at it, I guess. But you're talking to somebody who continually does more degrees and things. So maybe I'm a little bit biased, but well, I hope that helps, because I really, like I said, I didn't know a lot about fellowship opportunities when I was going through this whole process initially, and there's a lot out there. I hope that helps, and a little bit about my experience with this.
Thank you, Dr. Lombardo.
Yeah,
it does. It does.
Yeah.
So I do have a question for you. How long does a fellowship take to complete?
So usually they're between 1 and 3 years, and it depends on the area of study. So sports medicine, sleep medicine, those are 1-year fellowships, so just 12 months, and they get the certificate at the end of them. There are some fellowships like the academic and faculty development fellowships are the majority of them are 2 years and might offer a master's degree after completion. There are some that are up to 3 years, depending on the specialty. And every program will have its different requirements. So there are 1-year OB fellowships and there are 2-year OB fellowships. So you have to just kind of read the fine print and see what you're looking for. Okay.
Another question that I have that others may be interested in is how do you get paid? You've been a poor medical student, you get to residency and you get paid a little bit, but not quite enough. And so how do you earn compensation after residency? And does a fellowship allow you to keep your student loans in deferment?
Oh, that is such a good question. So your loan repayment can be income-based all the way through residency, fellowship, training, and so you can keep that at a really affordable level as far as paying student loans. I don't know about deferment because generally speaking, the repayment, the revised pay as you earn or the income-based repayment tends to be pretty affordable for people. So it's probably more beneficial to pay than to not pay. So I don't know a lot of people that keep them in deferment, but you're eligible for all the same things you are as a resident, as a fellow. So if you do an ACGME fellowship, there is a national guideline of how much money you should make doing that. Just like there is for as a PGY 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going on the way, there's like, you get a raise every year. It's a little raise, but it still helps. It's something.
So going to the ACGME website is where they could find that information. Okay.
Yeah, and every program is different. So when you're looking at residency programs and you see the pay, it's pretty similar across the board. Like most PGY1s make about $55,000 a year. Most PGY2s make $57,000 a year, and it goes up by increments. And so when you're a fellow, if it's an ACGME fellow, you're paid as a PGY, whatever number you are. And so it goes up year by year as you go through. It's not attending money, generally speaking. However, depending on the program, they will have their own unique contract. So for example, the fellowship that I'm doing is non-ACGME, so they can pay me whatever they can pay whatever they want to pay. And so it's a 40% clinical instructor. And so you get a contract as a clinical instructor. So you're getting paid like an instructor, not like a fellow, not like a resident. And so every program will be different. And so you kind of have to ask for those details when you're looking at a program. Like if you're saying, okay, I want to look at, obstetrics fellowships, you get to ask those questions as you're looking at the different programs around you. Like, are they clinical instructor? How, do they take call like an attending, or do they, do they not? If you're in an ACGME fellowship, you don't work as an attending or a clinical instructor. You're a fellow, which is like being a resident, only just with a little bit more privileges. You're still supervised like a resident is supervised. If you're doing a non-ACGME fellowship, you can work as an attending and still do your fellowship at the same time. And so you can get paid accordingly. That makes sense. It's really complicated is the answer.
Well, and each person would have to research the program and find out what their requirements are. We do have one question in the chat, and it is from Raphael. Are there any fellowships on demand now in terms of care of patient and need from the healthcare system? So what would be the most needed fellowships?
Honestly, you are well prepared to meet the needs of, like, I know Missouri, I don't know a lot of other places, but I'd say most anywhere in the US, they need family physicians. So you leave residency well equipped to be like the most in-demand physician there is. People need primary care doctors. So no, I don't think there's any particular specialty that I can think of that is like, oh yeah, they're, really high demand for XYZ. It's just family physicians in general are such in high demand that you just make yourself even more attractive to potential employers, to university systems if you want to do academics, by adding those qualifications to yourself. So really any of them you're going to be in demand. So really, yeah, thankfully for family medicine and subspecialties of family medicine, they're so in demand, for your average family physician, that anything you choose, you're going to be in a good place as far as finding employment, finding opportunities, especially in rural areas. For example, there may be hospital systems that don't have a lot of obstetrics coverage. And so you're in high demand as a family physician that can provide prenatal care, even more so if they need somebody to do deliveries. So maybe that's where your obstetrics fellowship helps out a lot. So, yeah.
So it kind of goes back to do what you love and figure out a way to get paid for it. And
I think so, yeah.
As selecting a fellowship, is there another area besides primary care that you're passionate about, and maybe that would help guide you to that fellowship? Because if you're passionate about it, you're going to succeed. So
yeah, I think so. And really, the market is such that the need for doctors is such that really any primary care specialty. So you should do what you love. There's no reason to not do what you love, because you're going to be able to find a job, and you're actually probably going to be compensated for it really well, because there's such a high need. And so really and you can look too from the aspect of what does the community need? What do I really enjoy? What would I like to do more of, and kind of guide your practice towards that, and then kind of tailor your training. But you may find that, the residency training that you have is perfectly adequate for, 100% of your job, in which case, maybe a fellowship doesn't make sense. But if you find that, oh, maybe I love this residency program, I'd really like to learn more about addiction medicine, then, if it's a passion, and you think that spending, 1 to 3 years in a fellowship setting, learning more about it, is going to add value to your life and your career, then go for it. There's so many opportunities to get that extra training if you'd like it.
So one other question, in Missouri, and I don't want to put you on the spot, and you may not know the answer to this.
Yeah.
What residency programs offer fellowships in Missouri?
Yeah, so I was looking at it yesterday to make sure that I could answer that. So most of the major academic hospitals, so Kansas City, St. Louis, Columbia, Springfield, have fellowships. So as far as I know, all of the larger cities that have a residency program also have fellowships. So here in Columbia, we have sports medicine, geriatrics, hospice, and palliative care, academics, faculty development. All of those are options here. In Springfield, they have research and OB. I think that might be all of them as far as I know. And Kansas City has high risk obstetrics, surgical obstetrics. I think they also have research and academics as well. And there is probably more. So this is looking at the directory, and you can actually, if you're interested in a particular area and you look at a residency program's website, you may find that they actually have a fellowship that's not listed in the directory, because it's not necessarily comprehensive. But yes, there are a lot of opportunities in the state too.
Very good. So since we're kind of wrapping up, what remaining advice do you have for medical students who are feeling very overwhelmed right now because of medical school to keep them focused on life after medical school, life after residency?
Oh, that's such a good question. I remember that. It's a lot. Well, I just think that, I think what I would have told myself looking back is just go towards your passion, just go towards what you really enjoy doing, and everything will be totally fine. It's going to be totally fine. And I wish I would have known even sooner that family medicine you can be as broad or as specialized as you want to be. So just go for it, and you can figure out all the details later. Like there are, attendings mid-career that make career changes, right? And they're like, man, I'm going to go learn more about addiction medicine and specialize in that. And you have that opportunity, for the rest of your career to change, to add things, to take things away. Maybe you don't like something that much anymore and you want to refocus. So I think looking back as a medical student, I think I was a little too fixated on what is my career going to look like. Well, and you don't have to know. As long as you pick a specialty that you, which I know I'm biased, but you can't go wrong picking family medicine especially if you have broad interests, because you can always specialize in fellowship and change your mind later about what you want to do. So I think my bottom line advice is don't worry so much about the details of the career. Just keep doing what you love and keep looking for what you love about it. What are the specific skills that you really enjoy developing? And then just go for it and make sure that you're focusing on having a broad skill set and developing those people skills and patient care skills that just are going to serve you well no matter what you end up doing. And then, I don't know, it's maybe easy for me to say at this point, but it all works out just fine. You'll find what feels right. I know Bill's laughing. He's like, yeah, that is kind of a pat answer. It does though. You just kind of keep going each next step and what makes sense. And there's just so many opportunities. You can't go wrong.
Very good. Any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, I have a question. How important is it to choose your residency program that has the fellowship you intend to do?
That is such a good question.
I intend to do an OB fellowship after family medicine, And so like knowing that ahead of time, I feel like it makes the most sense to pick a residency that already has that fellowship in-house. But it also becomes very limiting because there are very few of them across the nation. And so I can't necessarily go where I want to go or, explore if that really is like the end goal. So just like, what is your opinion on how important that really is?
I don't think it really is important. So I started residency thinking that same thing. I really loved obstetrics and I thought I might want to do an obstetrics fellowship. And I had that same thought. I had a residency program at Mizzou that I really, really liked, but I thought they don't have an obstetrics. I think it was fine because honestly, by the end of residency, I wasn't really interested in obstetrics fellowship anymore. And I'm so glad that I didn't limit myself on my residency during my residency search based on a fellowship program because things change. And you can apply to fellowships all across the country. And so you don't have to be limited to doing a fellowship at the place you trained. And actually, it can be great to get training from more than one place. I'm not a good example of that because I'm just staying at Mizzou the whole time, but it can be really good to leave and then even come back. So even if you're at a residency and you're like, I want this place to be my career, I'm here long-term, going somewhere else to train for fellowship and coming back. I've seen plenty of residents that have done that and done it very successfully and very glad that they did it. We have it even, the one I'm thinking of, he wanted to do a sports medicine fellowship and we had one here, but he just decided that it was a brand new fellowship here. And he just decided he would apply to lots of different fellowships, went away for a fellowship, came back, and now he's a very successful faculty member here. So it really, I think about residency programs in terms of big picture, not just fellowship, because one, you can go to fellowship anywhere. And two, you don't know that you're actually going to want to do one in the end of the day, because it's really, go ahead.
Thank you so much for that. That's what I was hoping to hear. So that's good. Also, so does applying for fellowship work the same way as residency? And is it like as intense and like important that I really start building like the CV again?
Depends on the fellowship.
Okay.
So classically, the sports medicine fellowships are very competitive.
Okay.
So those applicants do tend to, starting in year 1 or 2 of residency, start, trying to be co-author on a paper, trying to do some research opportunities, trying to network. And I don't know, it seems if those are your interests and those are things you enjoy doing, you might as well do it anyway. So it does feel kind of similar to being back in like, oh gosh, in med school when I was trying to network and try to build my CV for this. But other specialty, other types of fellowships, it's not that way at all. Like OB, for example, there's really, you're building your obstetrical skills during residency and then you're applying to a fellowship, but they're looking at a different set of things. They're not looking at, research publications and things like that. So it's different. It's not, I don't think it is as stressful as when it is in med school when you're applying to residencies, but you do, go through application cycle, interviews, rank list, match day for the ACGME fellowships. So it is that over again, for sports and things like that. Some of the informal fellowships, you just apply and interview and they don't have a match day per se. But yeah, so it's not quite the same, but as you go through residency, you have hopefully good faculty mentors in the different areas and they kind of walk you through that whole process. And you'll have co-residents that have hopefully, done the same thing or applied to different fellowships and you're all kind of doing it at the same time. Like my co-residents that were all applying to sports fellowship, they were like, walking through this together. So it's that helps a lot. Kind of have your cohort doing it together. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not quite the same as residency applications all over again, but
that's good.
yeah.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Lombardo? Very good. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate your time today. We will have this uploaded to the website within the next few days. So, Dr. Lucchini Karsten is applauding you, and it was a very good presentation. We certainly appreciate it and appreciate your time. So I hope you all have a good rest of your day today. Stay warm, but Raphael is in the Dominican Republic, so he is already warm. We're not quite so much.
No, we're not. Thank you all
So-
so much. It was so good to see you all. And please, Kathy's got my information. If you have any questions or ever want to chat about things, just reach out anytime.
Very good. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.